Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We will begin with our prayer to be followed by the national anthem. May we request everyone to put yourselves in the presence of our Almighty God. Let us put ourselves in the presence of God. God Almighty, thank you for bringing us together to celebrate Cebuano culture and heritage through the sharing of our stories. We need this in this time of uncertainty, O God, to remind us of our identity as a people, unique and blessed and proud. This reminder must inspire us that whatever challenges we face, whether unseen, alien, and treacherous, can always be overcome if we are united in working for the present and the future, and for the heritage of our children and community. We pray for our present-day heroes who are fighting against the virus, as well as other threats that besiege us today. For our own people struggling to overcome these threats, and for those who have died, fallen, but never forgotten. Dearest God, heal our land. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Maayong hapon mga Sugbuanon. Welcome to Gabi sa Kabilin 2021 online activities. This is an engaging space to appreciate and experience Cebu's culture and heritage.
Maayong hapon sa tanan. Heidi Palapar here, GSK Event Director and your moderator for this afternoon's program. Welcome to the August webinar of Gabi sa Kabilin online activities. Daghang salamat to everyone who has joined us this afternoon from Cebu and other parts of Region 7 in the country, even those outside of the country, and especially to our teachers from DepEd and the private schools. The Gabi sa Kabilin, the summer heritage event of Cebu, continues its aim to preserve and promote local culture and heritage through the museums. Despite this pandemic, the Cebuano heritage community has continued to convene and collaborate to deliver online or virtual activities with the belief that in this time of confusion and disconnection, our sense of identity and pride of place can be beacons of hope and strength. Also, we continue to commemorate the 500 years since the arrival of Magellan and his crew and Spanish influences, with the introduction of Christianity and the victory at Mactan, by aligning our GSK online activities with the said occasion. This afternoon, our webinar focuses on Sinulog, on the Sinulog, particularly the dance, that expression of faith to the oldest religious icon of Cebu and the Philippines, the Santo Niño de Cebu. The dance has also become a manifestation of the Cebuanos' dynamic culture and colorful personality. At GSK, we support researchers, or see research rather, researches done on local culture and the arts. Thus, we have provided a venue this afternoon to present the study on the variants of the Sinulog dance, as well as its beginnings and influences. And we have none other than one of the leading dance researchers in Cebu to do this. Before I introduce our speaker, may I just remind everyone that after the lecture, we have our question and answer portion, of course, with the trivia where you can win prizes. Also, for those who are here joining us and want to get a certificate of participation, please note that we will post the link and open the evaluation after the webinar and up to midnight later only, 11:59 p.m. to be sure. Now to introduce our speaker. He is a graduate of zoology from Southwestern University here in Cebu. Interesting. Retired from teaching at the University of Cebu, Maine. He is now doing consultancy on culture and biological sciences. Being a part of Cagayan de Oro and Cebu, he has ease and familiarity with Visayan and Mindanao cultures and the arts. He has been a folk dancer since grade school up to college. He was a member and assistant choreographer of the Southwestern University dance troupe of Sir or Mr. Melquiades Tatay Mick Gonzalez Jr. He has participated in the Sinulog Festival of 1981 under SWU and since 1986 as choreographer of the University of Cebu Sinulog contingent. He has over 20 years of ethnographic research in various hinterlands of the Visayas and Mindanao, from which he documented folklore and traditional dances that had been performed and taught at the annual folk dance workshop for teachers of the Philippine Folk Dance Society or PFDS. He has also been able to learn and gather traditional customs and folklore of the other 9 Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN member nations during his annual self-funded trips. 2 researches unpublished folk dances of Cebu province for choreography and production in 2004 and Sinulog, a living history book in 2013, which he co-authored with the Faculty of Physical Education at Southwestern University, won the top prizes for faculty in-house research competitions. He has over 18 years of experience as a professional choreographer and over 10 years as an artistic director for musical productions with the Mandaue Sidlak Cultural Troupe of Mandaue City, of the University of Cebu Folkloric Dance Troupe or Cebu Central College's Dance Troupe, and the UC Biokinetics Dance Club. His experiences gave him the opportunity to work with the national artist for dance, the anthropologist Mr. Ramon Arevalo Ubosan on the dances of Bukidnon. He has been invited as resource speaker consultant on ethnography, folk dance, and related fields by various schools and organizations. He is co-author of Physical Education to Beginners Dance Book and the Sayaw Sugbo Volume 1, published by the Ramon Aboitiz Foundation Incorporated. He was awarded the Gawad Sayaw Diamante 2019 by the Philippine Folk Dance Society for contributing 8 unpublished folk dances for the National Folk Dance Workshop for Teachers. Presently, he is working on the 3 volumes of unpublished dances of Cebu Province for the next 3 volumes of Sayaw Sugbo. He's also has been invited actually to the Casa Gorda Museum to the annual Gabi sa Kabilin every last Friday of May to have his dancers perform in our program. He's also a general member of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts National Committee on Cultural Education. He is a zoologist who adheres to the principle that culture is what sets man apart from the rest of kingdom animalia, and that the best expression of culture is through the dance. Very interesting indeed. And please welcome no less than Professor Cesar F. Nimor.
And all over the world the winter. Okay, thank you, Miss Hyde, for introducing me. Okay, may hapon, kaniyong tanan, good afternoon, good tardes, no? Sa Cebu, Visayas, Pilipinas, and all over the world the winter. So I am assigned to a dance that is very, very much the heart of the fun, with a lot of variants. Now we are using the word variant instead of the word version. Variant is more in term right now. Variant ni nga, hindi matambalan og vaccine. Okay, these are the variants of a dance that is in the heart of the Cebuano, and I'm talking about Sinug, or the millennials and the Generation Z would call it Sinulog. Sinug, Sinulog could actually be several ritual dances of the same name. So we would consider Sinug as some sort of a generic term for several dances with one goal common. But let's first talk about what a ritual. So rituals are defined as activities involving gestures, words, objects performed in an isolated venue and designed as a means of communication with the realm of the supernatural, done in repetition or as a habit. In other words, a ritual is something that we do to communicate with the world of the supernatural. That's because we need divine intervention. Like for example, making the sign of the pangurus. Prayer before and after meal. Usually it's before meals, but after meals, nakalimot na, it's okay lang. And before going to sleep. And I think you should also pray upon waking up. Because you are actually given by God another day to live. Lighting a candle, to be offering flowers, feasting or pagfiesta for special occasions. It's not just feasting to venerate a saint, but also in the case of, I think you've heard of adobo, like when you have birthday, so you manok, adobo. Buhat pa ba daron eh? Dance is considered as a form of a ritual. In fact, during the Stone Age, as evidenced by cave painting, people dance probably to appease the nature spirit, asking for favor from the spirit guardians for a successful hunting, communicating with the deities, or accompanying a rite of passage. So you have the slides here illustrating Stone Age art depicting hunters dancing in order to have a successful hunt with divine intervention. Now in the Philippines, you have to go specific Philippines because actually dancing as a ritual can actually be witnessed in different cultures all over the world. But we have several examples in the Philippines, and one would be, okay, i-prioritize na ko, number one yun, kay ikat akong birthday, which is actually a ritual dance Very famous because it is said to be a dance without music. Only the thumping of the feet and the tinkling of the bell of the dancers can be heard. This is performed by the Higaonon, the Manubos, and the Talaan League of Sanlit Oriental and Kidnon. Another is the Diwata. After the Pagdiwata, when choreographed, becomes just 10 minutes. But it's actually a 7 to 9 days ritual among the Tagbanwas of Palawan. So they usually perform this during a full moon sometime in December in connection with the bountiful harvest. The Bangibang of the Ifugao Cordillera, which is what we call as violent death dance. They are performed by men during the burial procession when somebody dies of violent death. Like for example, murder or an accident. So this is some sort of a war dance, funeral dance, or a revenge dance. Now among the Magindanaon and Maranao, they have a dance called Tagayan. Armed with pilong or shield and kampilan or sword, they fight unknown enemies. Now their enemies are the unseen, the tunong, or the evil spirit. They do this usually during parades to drive off evil spirits. Okay, among the lowland Christian communities, there is a fertility dance during May. And I think some of you are familiar with this, the Sayaw sa Obando. These devotees sing and dance sa Pandango in honor of the triad of saints, San Pascual Bailon, Santa Clara, and the Nuestra Señora de Salambao. The devotees supplicate the triad of saints for a child, a spouse, or general good fortune. The other one, which is very popular because this has been popularized by many dancers, is the subgi or the subgian. This is a Maytime ritual dance that is popular in Bawan, Batangas, as well as other parts of Batangas. It's actually a devotional prayer dance honoring the Holy Cross of Alitagtag, or that's the mahal na poong Santa Cruz. And for the choreographers and dancers, we would like to inform that the subgi is not really a festival dance, but rather it is a ritual dance. Now, one ancient Cebuano ritual, the Sinug or Sinulog, is a survivor of an indigenous dance ritual that has gone evolution through the years. So which means, as we discussed, Sinug this afternoon, it's also some sort of tracing the evolution of Sinug. It shifted from a supplication ritual to the Diwata, or the nature deity, and the Anito, or the ancestor spirit, and martial dance, or an offering dance, to the Balaang Batak, or the Señor Santo Niño de Cebu, as a result of Christianization and Hispanization. Now, what are the variants? So today, the Sinug comes in three versions or variants. The Votive Sinug, which is in turn the Sinug sa Tindera Candila. That's the one that you witness at the Basilica Minore del Santo Niño. and the other is the Sinug sa Banawa, which could still be witnessed performed in the Church of San Nicolas and in Guadalupe. The second version is the Combat Sinug, which is the Sinug sa Mabolo, and the contemporary Sinug, which is the Sinulog Festival, which is of course very popular among everyone, tourists and the younger generation. I think almost everyone. So let's start first with the Votive Sinug. Votive. Something offered or an act performed in fulfillment of a vow or in gratitude or devotion. So it's a dance of worship. But votive could also be applicable to the candle that is used in the ritual. So which means votive could refer to the act as well as the prop that the candle used in the performance. Now, dancing performed by women inside and outside the basilica was reported by Dean Worcester, Charles Skinner, and Irving Leonard. However, there was no mention of the name Sinulog or Sinug. These simply describe a dance performed inside, outside basilica. This was 1890s to 1920s. Actually, I took hold of a book, a 1965 book of Rosa Piñata called The Santo Niño of Cebu, which makes mention of his time Sinulog was performed in court. Now, don't be misled, although the book is 1902, I'm not that old. Actually, I got the book when I was at the anthropological. Now, it portrays the origin or the origin of the votive virtue. Now, actually, no one exactly knows when the dance ritual started, but there are three popular stories to explain its origin. There might be several, but I am choosing only the three most popular stories explaining the origin of the votive Sinug. Now, the first is the pre-colonial or the indigenous. Historical accounts say that before the arrival of the Portuguese navigator Ferdinand Magellan to Cebu, that's April 7, 1521, the Sinug, although it wasn't mentioned, the name wasn't mentioned, was already danced by the natives and the Babaylan or the shaman as supplication to the animistic deities, the Anik, and the nature spirit or Iwaka. Now there is a very strong evidence that these traditional ritual dances are still being performed by the indigenous natives of Visayas until today. So which means it will be indigenous at pre-colonial origin. Like for example, I've noticed the Tulud or the Mandok, Kapis and Ilkilo, and then the Hanuno Umangian, Toro, and even the Batak of northern Palawan, and even the natives of northern and central Mindanao, the Igaunon and the Manubo, actually use the forward-backward dance step. It's actually much like Sinug. To this day, dance as a form of worship is still being performed among the cultural communities of the Philippines. So after there is no wonder that pre-Hispanic or pre-colonial Cebuanos used the same medium, the dance, to communicate with the supernatural. Now, there's another record, the Pigafetta's account. He described a ritual dance performed by two elderly women, probably babaylan, dancing around a sacrificial pig as an offering. Another was the account of Pedro Serino. I would like to read this description. She moved her empty hands in harmony with her feet. Now slowly, now rapidly. Now they move forward. Now they step back. Now they move together or they come together. And now they move apart. It seems like a Sinulog or Sinug. However, as I said, the name Sinulog or even Sinug did not appear until early in there was this, and then if you visualize, you can say that Sinug man yun. Okay, the second origin is based on the oral tradition. Year 1521, baptism. The baptism of Ara Humamay. So during the first baptism, Magellan gave the image, the Santo Niño, as a baptismal gift to Ara Humamay, the wife of Raja Humabon, who was later named Queen Juana. So according to the story, at that time, about 800 of their subjects were also baptized. At the moment of receiving the gift, that's the Santo Niño, it was said that the queen danced with joy, carrying the image. With the native subjects following her, it was said to be the first Sinug. So that origin, version. The third version is another oral tradition. This time, the story of Maladhay. So that's between 1521 to 1505. The dance step, that's the forward backward, is believed to originate from Raja Humabon's fighter, Maladhay. So I would like to read his story. So it was during Raja Humabon's grief when Maladhay fell sick. So the king ordered his servant to bring him into a room where the Santo Niño was enthroned, along with other deities. After a few days passed, Maladhay was heard shouting and was found that he was awake and shouting. Pointing to the image of the Santo Niño, he explained that he had found on top of him a small child, trying to wake him and tickling him with a tupog or coconut milk. Greatly astonished, he shouted at the child, who then got up and started making fun of him. In turn, he danced with the little child and explained that he was dancing the movement of the river. So to this day, the Sinug step is still used by Santo Niño devotees who believe that it was the Santo Niño's choice to have Maladhay dance ang sayaw sa tulog. So from the origin, let's now move to the dance that is commonly witnessed being performed by the tindera sa kandila sa Basilica. So this we call the tindera sa Basilica Sinug. Candle vendors at the Basilica Minore del Santo Niño perform this votive version of the dance with candles for a devotee, usually accompanied by prayer done in the Cebuano language. So actually, mag-prayer na sila, and then after which, we dance a short, very simple dance sa Sinug. This version of the dance involves deeply minimal footwork. Steps in place, limited forward, backward, and graceful hands and brisk circles while holding candles and chanting prayers. So usually what I witness as the left hand does not move, facilitate. So actually the right holding a candle that moves like. Related to the Sinug sa tindera, kadila, no, sa Basilica, sa Banawa Sinug. So closely related to the Sinug dance by the candle vendors of the Basilica is a version that's done by the devotees of San why Paniculas, and why it is Panawa Sinug. Explain a little about the history, courtesy of Honorable Barangay Captain Clifford Jude Minyal that we interviewed. Now, in the pre-colonial time, Panawa actually was a very large community, including the present-day Guadalupe, then of course the city of Manawa, Paniculas, and the area of the Basilica, which is now known as Barangay San Sinug. And that is where the Indian came. So the dance step is very simple. We call it natural. Now do not pronounce it natural, natural. It is simply just a stepping in place. The dance is performed by the candle vendors or the tindera of the San Nicolas Church. Now, in this version, they wave candles on one hand and a white kerchief on the other hand, or held by the other hand. And according to the informants that we interviewed, this should be danced with a velo. So that means nakapandong, no? So the performance of these votive dances is for a plea, prayer for protection, fulfillment of a vow, or a thanksgiving. So this votive version of the Sinug is linked to the whole. It has similarity with the Tagbilaran, Sinug, or sometimes we call it Sinug Puradang, and the ones in Lobo, that we call Bulibong Thinking. Actually, more or less the same movement, and then they don't turn, keep on facing the east. Now, the one, the Bulibong Thinking, is actually offered to the Virgin of Guadalupe. Now, let's proceed to the second variant, which is the combat Sinug. The combat Sinug is very interesting because a lot of influences. The combat version of the Sinug was probably concocted in the mid-19th century, and it took elements of various influences, both Hispanic and indigenous. So let us praise it for its. So the pre-colonial or indigenous war dance. Because war dance is so common among the warrior, I would say warrior societies, the pre-colonial time. So it's a dance involving mass combat, usually in reference to a tribal warrior society where such dances were performed as a ritual connected with endemic warfare. Puso mo sa una ang mangayaw no? Or kanang mga raid no sa lain mga villages to take place and to increase no their dominion or to show power. Martial dances pertain to war, combat, or duel movements, common dances for these war dances, evoking ferocity in preparation for battle or showing off skill in a more stylized manner. It's a dance reenacting a battle scene to celebrate victory or fair. So it's some sort of communication. Usually after a victory in war, so instead of writing, we do it with a performance of makwar. There are a lot of war dances in the Philippines, and these dances symbolize manhood. It can mean community acceptance in the council of warriors as practiced in the era. It can be a medium to tell a story of warfare, and it was a way to demonstrate martial skill. So what we have in the slide, just the upper one, picture of the Gayan, so the Maranao and Town part, mentioned that by the book. And then the other one, bottom one, is Kawardan, the Buntok. Second origin of the combat Sinug is the Comedia, or sometimes called the Moro-Moro, or in Cebuano, we call it Tinangbay. So actual Comedia is a type of folk drama performed throughout Christian politics, usually during Fiesta. Sa una, what I know is Tinangbay was performed in San Fernando, before Kakar, and then more recently in Danao. Now themes are full of romance and melodrama, but the highest point is always the battle between the Moro and Cristiano, that's the Muslim and Christian. Actually, I like the storyline of the comedian because it always involves some sort of Romeo and Juliet type no, of romance, where you have, for example, a Christian prince falling in love with a Moro princess. And there's always the batalya, or we call it the torneo, no, in Ginangbay, the battle between the Moro and the Cristiano. The Comedia is actually a Filipino theater that is adapted from the Spanish Comedia de Capa y Espada. It was used by the Spanish colonizers in the Philippines circa 1760 to evangelize and to strengthen the faith of the Indios as the native to Christianity. To brainwash no, the Indios that there is a superiority of the Spanish under the flag of Christianity over the Moros or the Muslims and the pagans. Now, another very interesting origin of the combat move is the baile de los siete. Originally called Cantor Indios, the Los Siete or baile de los siete, siete means sexes, is said to be introduced by the Cardinal Archbishop of Toledo, Francis Jimenez, circa 1490s in Toledo, Spain, and belongs to the Mozarabic rite. Mozarabic is the Mozarabic for the Christian Arab. Now, actually, I saw a lot of videos on this in YouTube. Actually, it was composed 12 boys grouped into two. That means each group you have 6 boys, age 12 to 13, and they dance before the Holy Sacrament with tunahas or castanets in hand, and with very colorful medieval hats and feathers. Actually, if you are familiar with the costume of the Mabulos Sinug, especially the Cristiano, it's more or less like that. The colors blue for the feast of the Virgin and then red for the corpse. After the dance, very simple, just do a step toe, and then they do it inside the church. But overall, it looks like a Mabolo Sinug. Another origin could actually be the Spanish and the Basque war dances. These war dances are well recorded all over Spain in the 17th century as popular forms of social storytelling across the Iberian Peninsula. Actually used as a vehicle for people to engage in their political and religious history. War dances are linked to the Christian role over the victory in the Muslim power because if you review your world history, Spain was under the moon for decades, protected still are common props for simulated battles, which inevitably end with the triumph of Christianity and the conversion of the Moors to Christianity. Ang king, Moraog, Umidya, or Tinangbay. And then there's always a fancy costume worn by the two groups, the Moros or the Moors, and the So the Spanish influences in the development of the Kumpas, Sinug, or Sinulog were obviously introduced by the Spanish prelates in a very interesting another influence that actually came much later to research is the Zulu. Now, national artist Dr. Rachel Mohamed mentioned in his book that before the 20th century, Sinulog had a different meaning. It never referred to a dance from Cebu. It referred to Tulu, the Tulu current, which is also Tulu, or Tulu. It referred to the traditional Muslim war dance in Tulu called the Sinulog, or the Sinulog. It also referred to the 17th century dress of the Tulu women called the Sinulog or Sulug. Now, I would like to add that the language sa Taoto is called Sinug, Sinulog, or Bahasa Sug, or Bahasa Sinug. Now, UP Diliman Institute of Islamic Studies, Professor Darwin Absari described the influence of the Taoto of Sulu, the 1200s to the 1500s, in the islands of Western Visayas because of trade. So the Taoto are known for their trading culture. So their trading influence also the Visayas. So a war dance for entertainment of theaters was reported by Felix Laureano in 1890s from Iloilo. And this war dance actually between the Moros and Cristianos, and they called it Sinulog. And literally, it means Tulog or Tulog, a name which refers to Tulog. The Iloilo Sinulog could have assimilated with the indigenous gestures of the Cebuano called Tirong. Now, this word was very familiar to me for the older generation. There was Tirong. It actually means movements while brandishing a sword or stick in the art and. So if your movement is like moving forward, backward, and there's actually some sort of element of hesitancy because it's tirong or nagtirong-tirong. Actually, the word refers to the act of and using the weapon. Actually, that was the serum of Puro Kamote. After we featured only the male dance because it has the more combat element. Now, there's also the serum that's done by the female, but resembles that of the Tindera, you know. So the mixing of the pre-colonial with the Spanish element and Moro y Cristiano combat and eventually becoming accepted by the church as a form of offering for the Santo Niño, a combat version of the Sinug game. So the Sinug in its combative form or combat form still performed by the Turang dance group of Mabolo no, in Cebu City during the procession and feast day of the Santo Niño. You can also witness this performed in Casagoror that Monday after the Sinulog Festival. Since it is performed by a dance group, the author Sally Ann Neff called it the group Sinulog. So this group from Mabolo includes young dancers perform the dance, garbed in the Moro dance. So the dominant colors would be green for the Moro, but then red and white, much like the red that the green for the doing it like a Moro Moro play or a India or Linang cutting that. Now the dance step and drum beat of the group has been taught to them by their matriarch, the late Istelita ng Isang Bola, the one in the picture, who in turn learned it from her father, Buenaventura Turang Yola, in the name of the group, the Turang Dance. Nang kitang is recognized as an intangible heritage icon of the group is now under the leadership of Carolina ng Carol Yola. Now another Mabolo group composed of younger dancers which also performs the Sinug is the one headed by Dalagang artist Richilo Victory Medina. Actually, it's still Turang dance group, but the younger version of the dancers are younger. Now before, the dancers were all boys. Now they include girls.
Corona, Ellen Narciso, Quirino de Gracia, Raimundo de Gracia, Diosa Dimor, Beatriz Dimor, El Adila, Lorenzo Noynay, Nex, Boy, Lawrence Rotary, and Gordo Richito, Lawas Kananay.
Now the combat version of the Sinug has links in the neighboring provinces. Documented by Libertad Fajardo in her book, Itayan Folk Dances Volume 1. I would like to add that this was my first experience in encountering the word Sinulog. But actually, this book, because what I know was that I never heard of, I have not heard of the term Sinulog. What I know is that it's always Sinug. But when I was able to read this book, Itayan Folk Dances Volume 1, at the Gabino Tabunyar Library Southwestern University, I was able to encounter the word Sinulog or Sinurog. Actually, a word dance. I thought it was a dance from Cebu, but when I read further, the dance was actually documented in Sinubakan, San Joaquin, Iloilo. Now, the town of San Joaquin is very close, it's actually in the southern part of Iloilo, it's close to the border of the dance takes name from Suluk, or the Suluk current, and patterned after a Tausug Warda. The dance is an offering to San Martin, and also during the wedding feast. In connection with the wedding feast, they actually performed preceding the wedding ritual after the wedding ceremony. Moment they come out of the church. Kaya ilang batasan din po di parade man ang newlywed doon sa reception area. So mag-precede or mag-una niya at sinurog o sinulog, which is a dance solo, meaning that the dancer performs some sort of a fight against unseen enemies, the evil spirit. But this one also could be done duel, right there. So this sinulog is probably the one witnessed by Laureano in the 1890s. Laureano, sinulog for the South part. So to this day, in some rural areas of Iloilo, the sinulog is still being performed in connection with weddings, but it is simply called sayaw. I think this one needs further research because sayaw is not actually a Hiligaynon word. Sayaw is guano. The Hiligaynon word for dance, taos. I'm interested with this, so I have to wait when this pandemic and travel restrictions end. Then I will have to do some follow-up research. Now, sinulog is also the name of a warda among the natives of northern Mindanao. And the sinulog of Isigan is the most popular. The sinulog is the most attended and popular of the San Miguel Fiesta highlight, performed only the afternoon of the 5th day, that's September 29, 29 or 28. This ritualistic freestyle drama is actually the battle between the forces of Lucifer, the evil, and the forces of San Miguel, the good. The movements combine three elements. The Cebuano is prima, that's the one with the six. The Maranao is Gayan, and then the Higaonon, Tao. The Higaonon are the indigenous of the blending of the Cebuano with Christian, Maranao with Muslim, the Higaonon is indigenous. Another is the Sirong of Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Sirong is known to be a warda between Moro and Cano, which reflects the Christianization of the pre-colonial Manugut and the Mamanwa of Surigao. Then there's the Sirong of Camotes, the one in the video. This Sirong mimes the offense and defense move of a solo performer fighting unseen forces with the ritual dance is an offering to the Santo Niño. Now this particular Sirong means father. There's the Sinug, Bukagna Bohol. Now this is a traditional war dance during the Vesper procession and also during the morning fluvial procession on the 5th day of San Miguel, September 29. The dance is again Moro versus Cristiano. Then there's the Kinalasag. Kalasag which means hill. Sometimes for the Moro-Moro or the Minuro of Kapul, northern Samar. Now this war dance, which is said to be of the Tausug origin, is much like the Sinurog Ilog. is also performed by a pair of warriors preceding a bridal entourage after a wedding ceremony. So it's quite interesting because the people of the Abaknon had a Tamal origin. Actually, uh, this group of people are the only one, the only Tamal group that is not influenced by Islam. And they're very, very powerful actually in Tapul, not in Tamal. Now let's move on to the third variant, the contemporary version. It's the most popular of all the variants of Sinug. Today, the main feature of the Sinulog Festival is a highly choreographed, theatrical, progressive dance, dance. The Sinulog, with the dance steps developed in 1980 from the kinampilan steps of the forward-backward steps of Mabolo and the natural or the close steps, the Votive version, so it's now a combination or based on the Mabolo and the Votive version. Now, I have featured here the Southwestern group performing the Sinulog 1980. Now, sorry for the other dance group. I am using the Sinulog picture of Southwestern because that's the only connections I have since I was connected with Southwestern before. So in 1980, Sir David Odilao Jr., then regional director of the Ministry of Sports and Youth Development for the MYSD, organized the first ever Sinulog Parade with 7 schools and universities. The physical education centers were headed by the first Sinulog street dance parade. Now, in the 19th, we actually danced near Basilica. The participating schools of the 1980 Sinulog, the University of San Carlos, the Southwestern University. I would like to make mention that the University of San Carlos, the PE was headed by Madam Gusa Seco, the mother of Pal Seco. Know him. And the Southwestern University was under the Melquiades or Mike Junior, and for a very proud of it. Southwestern University and product. Then you have the University of San Jose Recoleto. The Cebu Central Colleges, now known as University of Cebu. I actually have connected with CCC, now UC, only, did I mention the year? Okay, 1984. University of Southern Philippines, now the University of Southern Philippines Foundation. The Cebu Institute of Technology, which is now Cebu Institute of Technology University. Cebu Doctors College, now Cebu Doctors University. Now, the grandest Sinulog was actually the Sinulog 81. Organized practically including all sections or sectors of the Cebuano community. Now, this did in order to distinguish the festival from the more popular events. The organizers decided to use the parade to depict the history of Cebu and the evolution of the Sinulog from the Sinug to the Sinulog, or from the pre-colonial to the Spanish colonial period, American colonial period to Cebu today, linking Cebu's animistic past to the contemporary Christian present. Now, Southwestern before was assigned to Cebu today, so contemporary ang among conversion that was simple na tayo, but the girls was simply dressed in Mona and Taya, and then the boys in Sino. Of Southwestern University, Sinulog Festival 1991. The upper picture is the center of the SW dance group and the ECAP group, Youth Civic Action Group, and the one at the bottom, the biological site. Okay, take attention. Hi guys. Ang mga dancers ani actually ano actually team pa kayong edad. Tanong edad. That's how we look like before. Very, very simple. Today, the dancers are garbed in lavish costumes inspired from indigenous, colonial period or contemporary design and intricate practices, dancing to the rhythm of drums, trumpet, and horn. The presentation follow a multi-sport storyline from the depicting the various ways, beliefs, values, and that is why it is often termed as Sinulog. But for this is how the dance looks like now. So during our time, 1964, CCC joined, budget samo for 5,000 together. Could actually be several ritual dances of the same name. So we would consider Sinug as some sort of a generic term. It is the drum corps, or the drum and bugle corps to provide for the festival version. But for the votive version and the combat version, we still prepare the drum. So today, the Sinug is the expression of the Cebuanos' acceptance of Christianity and their rejection of the pre-colonial animistic or animist belief. The Sinug is an amalgam of the old. It is also considered as something like a moving museum, showing the various influences that the Cebuanos had gone through in the medium of performance. Dance various ways, but all have one goal, the devotion of life. before I end this webinar, daghan kayong salamat sa mga nagsayaw, ang mga nanayaw kung ano sa Casa Kurordo. Si Crystal Share Liwana, Jotel Pakit, Glenn Julieta, si William Castro, na mausay na provide sa kadaghanan sa mga nagkaraan ako. And then also special mention Honorable Barangay Captain Clifford Ludginia o Barangay San Nicolas. Dancer tad sa unang panahon, dancer na po sa CCC. So daghang kayong salamat no sa pagtan-aw o pagpaminaw.
So daghan kaayong salamat, Professor Cesar Nimor. Can you hear me well? I think there's a static sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm so happy Sir Nimor actually accepted my invitation to present the variants of the Sinulog dance because I told him, Sir, what is this dance? Naalagi, like the sirong, I found out in Poro Camotes. And then, of course, Sir Nimor became our resource for when we asked him about that. And at the same time, we heard about the Banawa Sinulog. So I asked him also, what is this? So maybe I thought it was time that we put together everything that we know about the Sinulog, the different versions and the different beginnings or backgrounds or context of these sinulogs, but focus good on the dance. Okay. Sir Nimor, I think we have the background noise from your end. Can we have the volume of your loudspeaker toned down, sir? Yeah.
Okay,
Murag ang imo ng loudspeaker,
I
sir.
think
Right.
no, I think it's the cell phone of my assistant. So it's also
Okay.
viewing this one right now.
All right. There, that's better, sir. Oh, okay, that's better, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Although it's still there, but
Medyo
at least
defective
it's
akong
gone.
hearing, so I have to have loud sound.
Because it gives answer a bit bigger background noise manggod to your koan. Anyway, sige lang sir.
Ang akong co-teacher
Okay.
ni Adire, he's also watching.
Okay. Sir, we are ready for our Q&A. I hope our audience, we have actually teachers from DepEd, we have also your colleagues in the dance profession here in Cebu.
Yes.
We have also, I know those interested, mga teachers sa MAPE actually, are also watching this afternoon. So thank you very much. And we are ready for your questions as Professor Nimor is ready for your questions. So can we have the first question? By the way, we are going to be alternating your questions with some of our trivia questions actually, so that for those who are willing or want to be able to get prizes from the Gabi sa Kabilin, you'll be please answer our trivia questions, which we are going to be alternating with the questions. Your first question, Sir Nimor, it comes from Vince Joaquino. Good day, sir. Was there any conflict in which dances like Sinulog are prohibited during the Spanish era because dances were not appropriately considered in showing or expressing the Christian faith?
Actually, it's the opposite. The frailes actually employed dancing because it's a policy of attraction. Instead of abolishing everything that's what we call as indigenous or pre-colonial, they actually use some of the rituals performed during the pre-colonial time and then adjusted it to Christian religion. Actually, I witnessed this in Lake Cebu, South Cotabato, in which during the offertory, they actually allow the Cibolis to dance their native dance actually within the mass. And I also witnessed this among other groups because this is actually a policy of attraction. Now, instead of prohibiting everything and then changing it into really Western, shall we say, Orthodox European style of mass, they actually incorporated some of our pre-colonial practices or rituals into the Roman Catholic practice.
I agree, sir. I think we know nga the Christian faith actually also build on what was already existing at the time. No,
Yes.
so you
Actually,
are
based
right, sir.
on the records, yes, based on the records, like I mentioned, 1890s to 1920s, so although these are separate works, before they actually allow the Sinulog dancers to be inside the church. But things got what's it called, rowdy, and then some sort of was too crowded, and then the solemnity was actually somewhat damaged. So they have to transfer the dancers to the facade, no, of the church. This is
But
also
this
what's
is
done
in
in Bohol. Right? Yeah, Bulibong King actually dili sila allowed to sud, but they're
yeah, dito
actually
rin
allowed
nagsimula sila,
in front.
sir, sa at the kuan yun noon at the entrance dapit gid sila
Yes, the entrance,
ang
the main
Bulibong
door.
King King.
They actually
Yeah.
they move the image of the saint, the Virgin outside, and then the dancers actually perform the
Yeah, but
rituals
this is
in front.
you're
Wala
saying
na sa
this,
sud. But
sir.
originally, they actually were allowed to perform it inside. Uh,
You're saying this, sir, because this is in a sense no a reflection of what happened in the past nga mura gigi assimilate gigi
yes, yes, yes,
appeal
yes.
lang sad ang ato ang mga karaan nga ginahimo or practices, even our customs no and our culture, para lang madali.
Hmm.
You said it, sir, no, para ma-forward og dali ang
Yes,
Christian faith.
yes. Even
Yeah.
kaming wedding na to, like for example, kanang velo and then the cord, wala man na sa uban. They actually practice it here in the Philippines. And that's actually done by the indigenous communities. Like for example, when they perform the wedding, they actually wrap the couple with a blanket. So it's actually not Christian, it's actually pre-colonial. But they included that in the rites of the church.
Mura sa nimo apil ba ka tiali ani, sir, no ang kaning paglabay og bugas, di ba, sa
Yes,
newlyweds?
of
I
course. Okay
remember
na
nga nagingana na sa
ang ako sister when she got married ingon ana and then katong paimnon lagi og kanang water, glass of water, then katong sudlay. And then katong
mm,
maglumbaan na yung kinsay mag-unag step.
bitaw.
Siguro
That's
nakaunag step ako sister kay under ni Ambana. It worked. It
okay.
worked.
All right. Thank you, Sir Nimor. So do we go to our next question? Do we have our next question? Okay, from CM Kui. Sir, hello. With the Banawa Sinug or Christian Sinug generally, do they also do the kanta while dancing?
Okay.
Manganta ba sila,
Wala.
sir?
It's just, yeah, wala sila kanta. It's just a prayer lang. It's actually much like the ones done in front of the basilica where there is a prayer and then they dance. Actually, they dance without music. Much the same. Except that there are more arm movements in the Banawa Sinug as compared to the basilica.
So we're seeing
Pero wala
also
wala sing.
so we're seeing, sir, we're talking of the variants of the Sinulog here in Cebu ba?
Yes.
Uh, kuan ra gyud sila, duha ra gyud ang naay ang naay murag music, sir, to company that katong sa turang, no, the
Yes,
mabolo nga
katurang ra gyud ang
Sinug.
Mabolo. Mabolo. The
Oh.
rest is wala. Except that na-adapt na sila karon, like for example ang Banawa because they use it for the kaplag. So doon na
So
sila kuan
mampiyon na sila.
yes. Yes. Doon na sila kuan drum beats.
Mm.
Wala kay namo ma-develop ang kaplag karon kay pandemic lagi and we had an agreement with barangay captain Clifford nga mo help ko sa ila pero ang problema wa sila ka perform karon.
Yeah, but
So
after,
wala
sir,
sila music yun,
definitely.
wala music yun. Wala si kanta. Just
Yeah.
praying. And then doon ay kanang ipang yam-yam nga o what we call it, oraciones and then that
Okay.
the
Well,
same.
thank you, sir, for that answer. Let's go to
Pero
our
I've
third
heard that
question.
there is
Yes, sir.
there's another version pero amo pang pangitao ni I actually had an agreement with Richoy Colina that there is also a votive version in Mahiga. Actually, that's still Mabolo part near the border with Mandawi. But we're searching it because I think that the performers are already very old.
Oh, wow, that would be great, sir, if naagi
Hmm.
makita na and then naagi
And then
variants
there's
sa
another
siya,
one,
sir, no?
yeah, and there's another variant in Napo. Because Napo used to be part of Guadalupe, now it's part of Tapang Dako. But I think
Sir, ganong
the ones who
na
are
ako
alive are still drummers.
na ako'y question, sir. If you say nga na ay possible variants dito sa Mabolo, sa Mahiga Creek, and dito sa Napo, sa Guadalupe, murag
Mhm.
dugol ra lagi kayo ang areas
Yeah,
nga na ay mga
dugol sila.
dugol sa kaning
Except,
atong mga
yeah,
nakit-an ron.
except that, wala kay mapasa sa younger generation. Except kanin sa Turang.
Hmm.
Kay, ang pinakabata, I think 3 years old. 3 or 4, ingon ana. Ang Turang, grabe kaayo. Kuan ka, nagpasa ilang tradisyon. Ang the rest is, nawala lagi.
And
And
this
then, of course,
leads me to
yes, when the practitioner of or the artist no of the dance fades away, the dance dies with it.
lagi.
I had this experience. Actually, kaliwat ako lula sa Adlawon man. And then we had this before, mga 80s pa to. We researched on the Salimbod, Miligoy Salimbod, which is actually a variant of the Miligoy di Cebu, which is very, very common. And then katong nag-shoot ta dito sa Tayaw Sugbo, nangutan ako, asa na ang ako mga dancers? Wala na. Di ko ano, di say goodbye na. Forever. Including all the members of the Rondalia.
Yeah.
So
But
bali ang Salimbod, nawa na gyud sa Adlawon.
yeah, sir, but that this actually leads us to the great need, the necessity to document and preserve our dances here, not just here actually, but in the country. Okay, you said
Yes.
it, kadang
Maayong
even
uban
if
siguro kay yes, maayong uban kay active sila. Dini sa ato murag gamay ra man siguro ang nagkuan. Gamay ra man ming interested ani mga Cebuano dances. Pero atag
we have to
Victor Cuenco,
promote.
the famous choreographer is actually interested. Na-encourage siya katong last year nga nag-research sila dito, nag-continue sila nag-research sa taghagimit naga.
Okay.
Na-interesado siya.
Yes. So there are people actually trying to preserve our mga dances that so that they will never be lost forever, no? But
Yes, yes.
gamay ra ni sila unya nindot kaayo ko kay, like for example, kung naagyoy manguna who will
Yes.
really take the cudgels no of the old kaning dancers and let it continue with the young, pareha aning nahitabo
Yes.
sa Mabolo. So hopefully na ay managha ni sir. Yes, sir.
This one is a good venue, no? So at least because a lot of choreographers are watching this webinar today. I hope interesado silang continue. Kay ako, hapit na sa goodbye siguro, no? Kay nanak ko sa senior. Although I don't look like one. Pero senior na ko. So I think I need to pass on the responsibility to a younger one. I have all the materials actually. Walang ko nakita na interesado pa.
I hope ang
Except
imuhang
si
mga
William.
estudyante, sir.
Si William
Imong
de
mga
Gracia.
estudyante, like William. Yeah. Sila na imo continue. And that's why it's
Yes.
very important nga our dances will be taught in the schools, not to know in the public and private actually
Yes, yes.
education sa atong mga students so that they'll be the ones to continue. Thank you, Sir Nimor. We will go first to our first trivia questions. Magpaabot ta, sir, natay na mga more questions pa. But let's
Okay,
have the
thank
first trivia. Fast fingers, everyone who would like to get a prize. Here's our first trivia question. This is the dance that shifted from a supplication ritual for the Diwata and Anito to an offering dance for the Balaang Bata sa Subo. Sus kasayon ba? Dali ra kayo ito bag. So mag-una ta, hopefully we get our first winner right away. We will announce our first winner in a little while, but let's go on with our Q&A. Let's go to the next question. Don't worry, the trivia will come back. Another trivia question will come after these questions. Here's our next question, sir. From Nino Matiliano, how does the sulog or surog differ from the sinulog in terms of, one, the basic dance steps, and second, the music? Sir Nimor, you're in mute. Na-mute ka, sir.
Na-mute.
Okay, there.
Wait, okay na?
Okay na.
Okay, let's start with the Sinulog, which is the festival. So that's the contemporary Sinulog, in which they use only one beat, and that is the beat taken from the Kinampilan, the one we are familiar with. Like tag, darag, tag, 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 darag, tag, 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 tag. Okay. Now, sa Votive, wala gyud siya music. No, wala gyud siya music. Sa Mabolo, they have different beats for the different moves. Because they start with the limada, which is tak, 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 tak. And then there is the, of course, they stop the music because there's the alabatsyon. Then they have the kinampilan beat. Then there is the, what you call it, natural. And then pa tukod espada. And then they have the, well, all of these actually nga beat or four time signature. But the most familiar is tag, 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 which is actually kinampilan. But then, na-change siya when it comes to the pakli or the wakli, which is actually waltz, three-fourths time signature. Tan, 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 tan. Only na Bamolo actually has a variation in the music. The steps also differ according to the music. But they actually don't count. Wala sila counting. They change their steps based on the change in the drum. Pero sa uban, wala yun
Yes.
siya music.
Okay, sir. So is that was that all? Can we show the question again? I know he was asking for the basic steps. And what's the other
Ay,
one? Let's see
ninyo.
if and
Ako na
music. So
sa una.
nasulti na. Oh, okay. Thank you. So mayo kay na natubag tanan ni Sir Nimor. Let's go to the next question. Here's our next question, sir, from Wesley E. Chavez. Did the Spaniards dance the Sinug or any of these ritual dances, or was it just the Cebuano natives?
Obviously, the Spaniards did not perform the Sinug. Only the natives or the Indios. Because if the Spaniards would actually dance the Sinug, that would mean medyo murag naubos sila. Derogatory for them. Instead, they introduced their hostas, their valses, their mazorcas, and the other European dances of the time to the Philippines. They imposed their culture on us. And they did not assimilate any of our dances in theirs. Ballet, no? They never danced.
All right. Direct yun kayo ang pagkatubag. So, they didn't. Wasa na
Yeah,
nanayaw
okay.
kay.
In fact, sa una, di somewhat hapit din nila i-erase ang tanan natong culture, ang pre-colonial, kay i-impose nila ang ila. Which explains, gamay na lang kitag articles na hapilin about pre-colonial Cebu. Especially that we were the first no, to get exposed to Spanish colonial rule. So 1565, not 1521 kay kung pa man to, si Magellan pa man to, tigbak man to si Magellan diri. 1565. I-erase nila kay, according to my history professor before, they tried to burn everything pre-colonial because it was the work of the devil. I-impose nila ang ilang kultura o ang ilang religion.
Yeah. Correct. Thank you, Sir Nimor. Let's go to the next question, please. And after this, we will have our second trivia question. This is from Reg Martel Will. Will there be more variations of the Sinug dances and its counterparts in the future, sir?
I'm sure there would be because Sinug or Sinulog, just like any other dance, and any form of art, actually evolves. Magka-evolve man yun, no? And then, as I mentioned, naapay mga undocumented, or we call this unpublished material sa Sinug, probably in other places in Cebu City, that had been reported. The problem is that we're just also limited because we are having our ECQ or MECQ. And then,
Or,
the artists are actually old ones.
mosa na lagi, sir. Naapa ning variations pero
Yes,
may
naapa
tag
lagi,
maabta
naapa
na to.
lagi.
Maabtan pa ta
After
nato
natin
ang
ulit.
mga Maulagi, sir. But you said it, sir, because like anything else, dance also evolves. And you mentioned magani an example ganihan no katong sa Banawa nga wala sila music before and karon
Yes,
gibutangan
oo.
na. So,
Naan
mo
na.
evolve yun siya, sir. All right. Thank you for answering that, Sir Nimor, and thank you for your questions. But let's go first to our trivia question. The second trivia question. By the way, let's see. This is our trivia 2. Number 2, they performed the votive version of the Sinulog or Sinug with candles bought by the devotee. Just kinsa man ni sila. ang mamerformay, manayaway aning votive version of the Sinulog nga magdala og candles nga mosayaw para sa devotee. Fast fingers please. But let me already mention that we have our first winner of the first trivia rather, the first trivia winner, Ana Marie Dapat. Congratulations, and our one of our team members, one of our GSK organizers will be contacting you so that you will know how to get your prize. Thank you very much. And so we hope we have already our second winner in a little while. We will announce it. But let's go to our next questions if we still have questions. Yes. Oh, this comes from the NQC page. By the way, Sir
Oh,
Nimor, we are also shared in the National Quincentennial Commission page, committee page for the 500 years. This comes from Leonora Rustica Olandria. How does the ati-atihan in Aklan differ from the Sinulog in Cebu? Differ from the Sinulog in Cebu.
okay.
Sa kalahian nila, sir.
Now, obviously, very, very different. Very, very different in terms of costumes and then movements. Excuse me, kay ang akong wolf very niting. That was my cellphone. Okay, balik. Now, there is a similarity. That's the devotion to the Santo Niño. That's it. But there are more differences than similarities. The ati-atihan is actually more or less like a festival in which the dancers are covered with suits. And then when they perform the ati-atihan, they actually allow the spectators to dance with them.
Mm.
Now, however, in the Sinulog, it is too choreographed and it is a ritual dance that they do not allow people to be covered with suits. Because when you, it's like when you are in prayer and you face your creator, you have to appear as beautiful as possible because we were created according to the image of God. So if you consider God as beautiful, then we have to appear beautiful. Lisod ba ka na, you face your maker and then hugaw kay ka, no? So, lahi ra gyud. Kay it's more of a prayer dance, whereas the ati-atihan is more of a celebration dance.
Yeah.
Although, the Cebu Sinulog was actually patterned after the ati-atihan, the Sinulog, but not the Sinug, which is the votive and the kumpat. That was the first aim no, of the Sinulog established by Sir David Odilao.
So you mean
Or,
to say, sir, nga naguna lang as a festival dance or as a festival ang ati-atihan?
yes, yes.
Mm.
Yeah, in
Okay.
fact, I was scheduled to go to Calibo 1981. But then, na-cancel, kaya na-involve man ko sa Sinulog. So from then on, wala gyud kong kaatin o ati-atihan.
Yeah,
Wala gyud
because
kay
magdungan man, sir, no?
So yeah, madungan man na before. But then, ni-adjust ang ati-atihan. I think that's a week after the Sinulog.
It's a
Okay,
week after.
supposedly that was done third Sunday. So, pariha man sa una. So karon they actually changed the date of the ati-atihan. So the Sinulog remains third Sunday. Pero ang ati-atihan had an old origin. Dugay na na siya.
Hmm.
Ang
Okay, that's
Sinulog, the festival
interesting
bago
also.
na.
Yeah, sir. I know we're talking about ati-atihan, but there are actually several pagyud. There's several dances or festival actually, and festival dances attributed or in offering to the Santo Niño. But
Yes,
maybe I'll just ask one more because another very popular one is the dinagyang.
yes, dinagyang. Of Iloilo.
Are you familiar with this, sir? Can you still sort of give us maybe what differentiates
Actually,
the two?
it
What are
is,
the differences?
first, the dinagyang was patterned after the ati-atihan also. But they have a more choreographed dance steps. I've noticed this. The ati-atihan is just actually jumping and jumping. Wala kayo siya ka ng mga variation steps. No? It's just a change of formation. Ang the dinagyang is more choreographed because I'm seeing this because I'm a friend of Sir John Gipuliano. It's actually from Iloilo and is also involved with the dinagyang.
All right. Okay, thank you, sir. Let's go to our next question. We have actually already a winner for our second trivia question, Francis Dwayne Branzuela. Thank you very much and congratulations. Thank you for joining our trivia, and definitely one of our organizers will contact you to how to claim your prize. No, so here's the next question, Sir Nimor, from John Gilbert Bulletin. Does the Pintados Kasadiaan Festival in Tacloban have a connection to the Sinulog in Cebu?
Okay,
Familiar
as
ka
what
aning
I,
Pintados,
yeah,
sir?
Pintados is actually the one in Tacloban. I think it's also dance as an offering to the Santo Niño, if I'm not mistaken. But it's more of celebrating the Pintados culture, the tattooed natives, the Visayas before. So
Yes, klaro kayo,
I think the
Pintados.
relationship is in honor of Santo Niño. I think Santo Niño de Tacloban, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm,
But it's done on a different day. Okay, so
alright.
it's actually more festival. The Sinulog we have here is actually very, very much into the, the, the ritual based.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Sir Nimor. Before we go to our last question, I think we're down to our last question. Let's go first to our third trivia question. Fast fingers, everyone. Trivia number 3. Combat Sinug was also inspired by blank, where 12 boys dance in front of the Holy Sacrament or the Blessed Sacrament. Hmm. So fast fingers. Hopefully, we can announce the winner of our third trivia question in a little while. Sir Nimor, we're down to our last question,
Okay.
and this is the last question. From Lisa Torres Tabuada, thank you for your question. If the Spaniards tried to abolish our native dances, how did our people, the natives, preserve it?
Okay. Many of the dances we have, like the old ones, first they were actually done in secrecy, but eventually the steps became blended with the Spanish. Like for example, in the case of the Curatsa, they say that the Curatsa is actually patterned after La Cucaracha, the one in Mexico. But you'd notice that if you look at the La Cucaracha that's done in Mexico and the Curatsa that's done here, it's very, very different because ours here is actually more of mimetic, which is actually a very, very old, shall we say, a very pre-colonial type of movements that is patterned after the courting movements of the rooster and the hen. That explains why the female in the dance always stays somewhere very limited, that's somewhere in the center, and then the male goes around. And if you would notice, the arm movements are actually much like what Arnie. It's the same with the one in there's a dance in Sikihor, Tulili, which is actually a wedding dance, which actually looks like the Kuratsa. The music may be Spanish. The music is like Pandango, but then the movement is very indigenous. If you look at the movements of the Manobo, or the Blaan, or the Tiboli, or even the natives of Luzon, the movements are very indigenous. So bali, ang nahitabo, i-blend nila. So ang atong mga sayaw, nahimo tinikling, buratsa, buradang, mazorka, pero ang element, ang movement, indigenous gihapon. So muna
Mm,
ni-evolve ang atong kaugalingong mga sayaw. Mo madunay controversy na sa una og diin kuno nag-origin ang tinikling. Pre-colonial ba siya or Spanish? Actually, it's pre-colonial because if we look at the bamboo dances, we have a lot of bamboo dances, not only the tinikling, but remember the singkil? And then they have also a bamboo dance among the Banon of Zamboanga, and then they have a bamboo dance in the Blaan of Sabato. And there are a lot of bamboo dances all over ASEAN. In fact, when I went to Sarawak, that was 2 years ago, they had a dance called Alo-Alo. Marami tiniklings ato dire, and they got surprised kay ako man iduot sa kumakauban ko dunay on this participation. So di apil pod ko nahibong sila ng kibaw ko daan. Mas grabe pa mo akong tinikling yun. Na-blend na lang, and then naanay music, and then ang music na to nahimo ng rondalya, no, which is actually patterned after the Spanish estudiantina, which is an ensemble of stringed instruments. Pero ang movements mao ra gihapon, indigenous gihapon.
so in a sense, sir ba nga, how we preserve it is because murag nagwinay sira sa tabag kay
Yes.
nagbrinay lang yun
Gitago-tago
kay
na lang. Oh, gitago-tago na
oh,
lang.
gitago in the guise of the Spanish dance, but actually the movements are
Actually,
indigenous.
it's actually much
So,
like the capoeira. Kada capoeira sa Brazil. Nga sa una, gi-outlog yun na. But then,
mm,
i-disguise nila into a dance. So, karon na mo siyang dance and then martial dance.
yeah,
So, yun ana.
correct. Very interesting. And with that, thank you, Kaayo, Sir Nimor. That those are our questions. We thank everyone who
Senior
has
sad,
sent in their questions.
advance para sa Enero. And
Thank you,
welcome
Kayo,
to my
sa
museum also.
kanang... Yes.
To the
Thank
sound
you
of
for...
nature. Oh, I think you've heard of the roosters and then what else? Dogs. Kay feeding time na baya ron. I'm surrounded with nature here.
Yeah, we've been there and very
Yes,
interesting place
yes.
also that Sir Nimor has. And we thank everyone who sent in their questions, Sir Nimor, because we're so grateful for giving us the time, no, for doing the research quickly. When I asked for the for Sir Nimor to do the research and to consolidate everything and to present it in a GSK webinar, paspas kay si Sir. And with that, we'd like to present to you our certificate of appreciation. Kindly flash our certificate, please. This certificate is given to Professor Cesar F. Nimor for sharing his expertise and time as resource speaker of this webinar, A Dance for All Seasons, the Sinug and its variants, during the Gabi sa Kabilin 2021 online activity for August, given this 27th of August 2021 at the Rafi, the Kabilin Center in Cebu City, and signed by Rafi President and CEO Ms. Amaya Aboitiz Fansler. Sir, we'll send this to you, but before everything else, we'd like again to thank profusely Professor Cesar Nimor for doing this JSK webinar this afternoon. Sir, padayon sa imuhang
Yes.
research ang
That keeps
Cebuano
me active
dances.
actually. Oo. Despite the fact that we are confined at home, pero mostly kita gawas usahay in order to fulfill our duties and to keep myself active.
Tinuod,
Okay,
sir.
ako message someone, get vaccinated na.
Yes,
Pero,
please get vaccinated yun kay para
mag-active gihapon. Ugma po
makapadayon
gihapon.
sa trabaho. Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Nimor.
Okay.
And of course, we'd like to thank those that danced, actually the videos that you saw and the dancers there of Sir Nimor dance. And let me again thank them, William De Gracia, who also did the costumes, no? Josel Pakit, Cristel Cha Liwanag, and Glenn Villeta. Daghan kaayong salamat for doing the dance demos. And we have our third trivia question winner, CM Kui. Of course, someone will contact you for your prize, how you're going to be able to claim your prize. And we have actually two more trivia questions, but we will be posting them after this webinar. So for those who still want to get a prize, we have two more trivia questions that we shall be posting after this webinar. And we would like to thank, before we leave, we'd like to thank also all our GSK partners, GSK 2021 partners. Would like to thank, of course, the GSK Organizing Committee, Melka, Mardel, Renren, Sig, Verla, and Makmak, and of course our stakeholder management from our brand development group, Chad de los Reyes. Thank you very much. We'd like to thank our DepEd teachers, our private school teachers who are watching from the region, from Region 7, and for those of our audience who come from other parts of the country. Thank you very much. We'd like to remind everyone that our GSK webinar in September is going to be something else as well. It will be about the Spanish influences in Cebuano clothing and dressing, and it will be by no less than the only one, I think, uh, who's doing a Philippine clothing culture research and expertise. No, so and this is Dr. Stephanie Koo. If you're not familiar with her, she also came out with a book called Clothing the Colony, and this is about Philippine, rather 19th century Philippine sartorial culture, 1820 to 1996. In fact, the book was launched, if I'm not mistaken, last year. And she is our resource speaker, our guest for our webinar in September. So very interesting. Please do not forget that. And of course, for those who want to get a certificate, please do fill out our evaluation form, the link of which we will be posting after this webinar. And we'd like to remind you that for those who want to get the certificate, you can only fill up the evaluation form until this tonight, midnight. So 11:59 p.m. So if you want to get the certificate, please do the evaluation form, accomplish the evaluation form right after this webinar. And with that, we'd like to thank everyone again for joining us this afternoon. Daghan kaayong salamat. We'll see you in September at the end, the last Friday of September. Bye everyone and keep safe.
Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time and for participating in our webinar today. We hope to see you again next month for another Gabi sa Kabilin online activity to appreciate and experience Cebu's culture and heritage. Please don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, daghang salamat!